It felt that I knew where I was going. Imagine the majority of people don't know where they're going. I knew where I was going, that I'm going to become this bodybuilding champion just like him. So it was just a question of how do you do it? I was so relieved because when you have a goal, when you have a vision, everything becomes easy. Because remember that in America, for instance, when you study, you will see the percentage of people that like their jobs. 74% hate their job in America. Now, this is not much different when you come to Europe.
Most people never consciously decide who they are going to become, and that single mistake silently shapes the rest of their lives. They wake up, go through the motions, react to circumstances, absorb opinions from people they never chose as mentors, and slowly drift into an identity that was built by default rather than by design. Years pass, opportunities come and go, potential remains unused, and eventually they find themselves living a life that looks nothing like the one they imagined when they were younger. Not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked opportunity, because they never made a serious decision about the type of person they were going to be. That is why Arnold Schwarzenegger's message is so powerful. Long before the achievements, long before the success, long before the recognition, there was a vision, a decision, a clear image of the person he intended to become. Because the people who build extraordinary lives do not start with results. They start with identity. They establish standards before circumstances test them. They decide who they are before the world attempts to define them. The uncomfortable reality is that your future is being shaped right now by the standards you tolerate. Every excuse you allow, every responsibility you avoid, every promise you break to yourself is contributing to the construction of your identity, whether you acknowledge it or not. You are becoming someone every single day. The question is whether that person is being built intentionally or accidentally. Because life eventually forces everyone to answer one question. When pressure arrives, who are you? Not who you pretend to be, not who you talk about becoming. Who are you when discipline is required, when sacrifice becomes necessary, and when nobody is watching? Because that person, not your ambitions, not your plans, not your excuses, is the person creating your future.
I hope I've shown that, and I hope you ask yourself, who do you want to become? And then, what stories from your past, from your history, stories that you might even have forgotten, can inspire and motivate you to become more of that person? I want you to tell your story. Because if you don't tell your story the way you want, you'll end up living in someone else's story.
The reason so many people remain stuck for years is not because change is impossible. It is because they approach change backwards. They focus on outcomes while completely ignoring identity. They become obsessed with losing weight, making money, gaining confidence, building success, or earning respect. But they never stop to ask whether their daily behavior is aligned with the person capable of producing those outcomes. As a result, they spend years chasing results while protecting the habits that prevent those results from ever arriving. That contradiction destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Josh Levent raises a question that most people avoid because it carries responsibility. Who do you want to be? Not what do you want to have? Not what do you want people to think about you? Who do you want to be when nobody is watching? Because that answer determines everything else. The brutal truth is that many people are trying to build a future with an identity that is completely incompatible with the life they claim they want. They want discipline while continuing to negotiate with excuses. They want confidence while avoiding every situation that demands courage. They want success while maintaining habits that guarantee mediocrity. They want respect while refusing to develop self-respect first. And reality never rewards contradictions. Every day your actions are casting votes. Every decision is reinforcing a pattern. Every repeated behavior is strengthening an identity. The problem is that most people believe identity is something they discover one day, when in reality, identity is something they construct through repetition. You do not suddenly become disciplined. You become disciplined by repeatedly doing what undisciplined people refuse to do. You do not suddenly become reliable. You become reliable by keeping promises when breaking them would be easier. This is why change feels difficult. Because real change is not about adding new goals. It is about eliminating the version of yourself that keeps producing the same results. That requires honesty. That requires sacrifice. That requires the willingness to confront behaviors that have become comfortable, but are slowly destroying your future. Because at the end of the day, the life you build will always reflect the person you became along the way. And if that person never changes, neither will your results.
It's like you can't understand that in a day or a week or a month. It's going to take years. It took me 18 years to discover the kind of books that I wanted to write, right? So it's a process. You have to begin like journaling. You have to kind of write down things. You have to become aware of the things that you love and the things that you hate. And I bring it down to a basic level. The foods that you love, the kinds of things that you like to drink, the clothes that you wear, just understanding what makes you different from other.
One of the greatest mistakes a person can make is spending years trying to become somebody, without first understanding who they are becoming right now. Most people imagine identity as something distant, something waiting for them in the future after they achieve enough success, earn enough money, or accomplish enough goals. But identity is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. Identity is being built today, in this moment, through your decisions, through your standards, through the behaviors you repeat when nobody is forcing you to do the right thing. That is why self-awareness is so important. Because if you do not honestly understand your current habits, your current weaknesses, and your current patterns, you will spend years fighting symptoms while ignoring the real problem. You will blame circumstances when the issue is discipline. You will blame bad luck when the issue is inconsistency. You will blame other people when the issue is a lack of accountability. And that cycle can continue for decades. The hardest person to confront is not your competition. It is yourself. Because confronting yourself requires brutal honesty. It requires looking directly at the habits you keep defending. It requires admitting that some of your struggles are not happening to you. They are happening because of you. That truth is uncomfortable, but it is also powerful. Because the moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. Most people want transformation without self-examination. They want growth without reflection. They want a new life, while protecting the behaviors that created the old one. But that is impossible. The person who continues making the same decisions cannot expect a different future. The person who continues lowering standards cannot expect extraordinary outcomes. The person who refuses to confront reality cannot expect meaningful change. This is why knowing who you are matters so much, not so you can accept your limitations, so you can eliminate them. Because awareness without action is useless. The purpose of self-awareness is not comfort. The purpose of self-awareness is correction. And the moment you stop lying to yourself about where you are, you finally gain the ability to become who you are capable of being. Because the strongest transformations begin with a simple but uncomfortable realization. The biggest obstacle standing between you and your future may be the version of yourself you continue refusing to outgrow. At the end of your life, nobody is going to ask what you intended to do. Nobody is going to measure the dreams you talked about, the plans you wrote down, or the promises you made when motivation was high. Life only records one thing: who you became. That is the final scoreboard. Not your excuses, not your circumstances, not the potential you never used. The person you built through thousands of daily decisions is the person that ultimately determines the quality of your life. And that is why this question is so important. How do you want to be? Because whether you answer it consciously or not, your actions are answering it every single day. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you answer it. Every time you avoid responsibility, you answer it. Every time you break a promise to yourself, lower your standards, or refuse to confront a weakness that is holding you back, you answer it. And the frightening reality is that identity compounds, just like discipline compounds, just like success compounds, just like failure compounds. The person you are becoming today will be stronger tomorrow. The habits you repeat today will be harder to break tomorrow. The standards you tolerate today will become your normal tomorrow. That is why waiting is so dangerous. Because while you are delaying the decision about who you want to become, life is making the decision for you. The truth is brutally simple. You are either becoming a person capable of carrying greater responsibility, greater discipline, and greater purpose, or you are becoming someone who continually surrenders control to excuses, distractions, and weakness. There is no neutral path. There is no standing still. There is only construction or decay, growth or decline, discipline or regret. And the choice is being made right now through your behavior. So stop asking what you want from life. Start asking what life will demand from the person you choose to become. Because your future will never rise above the standards of your identity.